Where did you're smart? You get the paper copies.
Yeah, he handed it to me. I always leave my iPad.
No,
I'm so scared I'm gonna lose it or something.
I know.
We should be
Like,
live.
yeah, I'm the same way.
I didn't even
I
get
put it in one spot in the house and then I don't look at it for like
yes.
a month.
Yeah.
Here, I didn't take this. I never saw it on there.
Say that,
Have you
but
city meeting? No, that's why. That's why I didn't get it either. Because I don't check these.
there it
There
is.
goes.
Okay.
We're live.
We're live? Okay. It is now 7:02. I call to order a regular meeting of the City Helotes Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors. It is November the 15th, 2023. First we'll have is our open session for citizens to be heard. Mr. Director, do we have any citizens to be heard?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll close the open session and we'll move on to consent agendas items 3 and 4. All consent agenda items listed below are considered routine by EDC staff and are intended to be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a director requests it, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. So do I have any requests to remove any items from the consent agenda?
No, sir.
Nope. Without any request, then I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items number 3 and 4 as written.
So motioned.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Consent agenda items are approved. All right, so now we'll move on to our committee reports. So these are our HEDC standing committees that we currently have in place. We'll go through each one. Some of them won't have any updates. For example, executive committee is our first one. We don't really have an update on the executive committee side specifically. There were some items that different members of the executive committee spoke on that we'll cover later on in our staff report. Finance committee, do we have any updates from finance committee?
No, we reviewed all the financial documents via email and all voted.
Okay.
No change.
Okay, very good. Any updates from the governance committee?
Nothing new in the governance committee.
Okay. Building evaluation committee.
We met separately. Jeff met on his own, and then Mel and I met with Glenn as well. We reviewed, which I'm guessing is pretty much our final rendition that we have. And we made a few suggestions, tweaks, and different things like that Glenn was looking into. And I think we're going to cover some of those here in a bit. But no, we did meet and review the plans in person.
Okay, good. And this is for the new EDC offices / visitor center. So
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, and then community enhancement committee. Any updates from the community enhancement committee?
That's you.
That's me. All right. Oh, this is our, yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
we meant to talk about a circle, remember?
Yes,
Mhm.
that is correct. So that's me and John did meet with Glenn and with RJ5 to go over the arts project, specifically the site improvements that need to happen for the arts project. And we'll go through that here in a little bit as well in our staff report. So we did have a brief meeting with the contractor, which was good. Yes.
That was the revised contract.
Oh, this is a revised one. Okay. And are we going to go through in our staff report, go through just the arts project update?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll listen on an item and then we'll specifically talk on this. Okay. So with that, that's all our committees that we currently have in place. We will be having a new, and I guess it's going to be a joint committee with dealing with specifically with community parks with city council that we're actually in the process of coordinating our first meeting. We'll let you know when that is. Hopefully we get one started here before the end of the year. I know it's busy, but I'd like to get something kicked off before we hit 2024, which is right around the corner. Okay, so we'll move on to our items for individual consideration. First is item number 6, discussion of and action on authorizing the executive director to negotiate and execute an agreement for printer equipment and maintenance not to exceed $12,000 for a 5-year term. So in order to open this up for discussion and action, I need to have a motion.
I motion we discuss and take action on item number 6 as written.
I'll second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Glenn, you want to give us, we have it open for discussion, give us a quick briefing on what we're looking at?
Absolutely. Our current agreement is actually expired with Xerox. And we pay roughly $215 a month for a multifunction printer there in the EDC offices. In the current contract, we get 2,000 black and white and 2,000 color copies per month included, plus supplies, which include staples, ink, and as well as service of the equipment. One thing we have to provide is paper. Since our contract is up, so is the city's, and so they've been going out to solicit proposals. To my knowledge, the first one that came back for this EDC meeting was Xerox. I think we're anticipating at least another one from UBO. And then you had
I had one for documentation.
which was definitely more expensive. Right now, Xerox is currently the lowest provider. Again, we're waiting for one more to come in. In their proposal, they could potentially reduce our monthly payment down to $177.66 a month. We get a brand new printer that is 3 generations newer, better software, better printing capabilities. He would change the black and white to unlimited black and white copies and keep keep it at 1,500 for color. He said when you look at the average usage of that machine, so far we have never come close to that amount. And anything above is, I think, 35 cents. No, not 35 cents. It's three. I think it's 3.5 cents. Sorry.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
So that's UPS prices.
Yeah. 3.5 cents a copy. Said even if we wanted to up the number of pages, that's basically the rate they charge, even if you pay up front. So it's not like a traditional lease where they're going to stick it to you if you go over.
Right.
What I was seeking today, because this contract will be signed by the city before our next EDC meeting, is giving me approval to contract with the vendor that the city decided to go with, as long as it falls within these parameters that we've been previously under contract for.
Okay. That's probably my biggest question on Glenn is pretty much just a continuation of what we currently have in place as far as pricing goes.
Equipment, yes, it's just a newer model.
Okay.
I'm not looking at anything additional at this point. We do have the ability when the new center is built out, if we need additional printers for individual offices, we can add that in to the lease agreement at an additional cost. And he'll just kind of prorate it out for the balance of the term.
You just can't take printers away, but you can add. So we decided not to look at adding anything
Yeah.
until.
Let's just go bare minimum for now and then
Right.
add if we need to for the.
Do we know if the printer that we're getting, being newer and such, does it have the capabilities to, how would I word this? I guess be used by the center people as far as having maybe individual codes or something like that, to where we know how many prints are being done by a user?
It does. I'm glad you brought that up. So the new printer, there's 2 methods of tracking that. The printer itself can do a PIN code input. So if you're in your Word document, you click the printer, it'll pop up a window to type in your code, or you can type it on the machine itself. And it will track that free. The only caveat to that one is that I would have to manually download the report at the 1st or the 30th of each month and then reset the counter.
Yeah.
There is a subscription plan you can add on to the printer that will automatically do it and track it each month. I don't mind trying it for free to see. It doesn't sound that hard really to.
Well, that's something an hourly person could be doing as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think what's going to happen, Glenn, is probably this printer, because you're going to need a personal printer, whenever you in your office, especially with the sensitive documents that we're going to have. So we're probably going to need to have one that is going to be solely for the EDC, and then one that will be for the rest of the tenants in the building. So, but yeah, hopefully that will be a good bridge whenever we need to cross it.
And we will be able to add on to like a personal printer in your office later.
Yes, yes, sir.
Because I know that we run, you're gonna, if I'm not mistaken, the EDC is on its own network and the building will be on a separate network.
Correct.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. Any other questions? All right, so we have a motion and a second for item number 6 for the director to be able to negotiate the lease for the printer for the next 12,000 up to 12,000, not to exceed $12,000 for a 5-year term. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. So we'll move on to item number 7, discussion of an action on authorizing the executive director to negotiate and execute an agreement for internet services not to exceed $40,000 for a 3-year term. So just as before, I need a motion and a second for discussion and action.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion is second, so it is now open for discussion. All right, Glenn, give us the rundown on the internet.
Yeah, sorry, a little bit on the sticker shock of that one, because I had the same, I almost fell out of my chair. Because we currently pay $183 a month for internet Wi-Fi service. But going to the business center, we feel there's a need to have dedicated fiber line to the space. And the difference between that's an enterprise class solution for internet versus the business class. Business class, you are not guaranteed the speed you pay for. Right? If you're paying for 200, 300, or 600 or a gig, it's up to that speed. And you have multiple people sharing that same line. When you do a dedicated fiber, you are guaranteed. If you pay for 50 megs, you get 50 megs, 100, and so forth. Right now, I know the city this year had upgraded to a dedicated fiber line. They started out with a 50 meg, and they recently upgraded to 100. They needed it. They do a lot of video uploads, and that was really kind of slowing down on the upload speed. It was taking hours. Now it's
5 minutes.
minutes. Yeah, but they also have 82 employees, right, spread over a big campus. We're going to have 8 offices. So I feel at this time we can likely go with the 50 meg line, and then we can always upgrade. AT&T is the first one that responded. And for them to fully manage, so do the digital switch management, to monitor activity, and for internet service, we were looking at $1,300 a month. I don't think we need necessarily the managed solution. I think we can subcontract that out at a cheaper rate, and we also don't have to rent the equipment from any company. We can go out and buy it outright. Going through Spectrum, I have their the price right now. It's $4.99 a month for 50 meg, and I think it was $6.49 for 100 meg. I'm trying to see what additional charges there may be. We just Marion got me in contact with the kind of government rep through the DIR state contracting co-op program. So we'll get a second proposal just to verify. But the reason I'm bringing it tonight, it will likely take anywhere from 90 to 120 days to get service from when I place the order. So if I wait until our January meeting, once I have all the proposals, we're not going to have internet till after April. Wanted to go ahead and try to get that authority now, obviously knowing that I will go with the best quality and the best service we can get for a reasonable price. But yeah, likely we'll have to contract that in December.
Okay, so Glenn, just so I know that, so the total price we're looking at monthly would be over $1,000.
The highest rate is 1,300 with a fully managed solution.
40,000 comes out to $1,111.
So just going with AT&T, just utilizing their fiber line plus leasing the router from them was, I think it was $599 a month. It was $600 a month. So I don't.
725.
Is Google an option
Oh,
here?
725.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, 725. So I think that's likely the high end of what we're looking at on a monthly plus tax. Google is not available.
Really?
Yeah, we don't have Google Fiber.
It does not come down Bandera.
No, we don't.
Who made them mad?
The internet.
Okay.
Yeah, and something else we were looking at, I'm not sure if it's necessary, through Spectrum, they also offer a backup internet service through LTE subscription. It's $20 a month added onto the bill, but it gives you a backup in case the fiber lines go down. It may not be necessary, but it might be something we want to consider. We have to really look at what their downtime is. I know for the regular business class, it's at least once a month that it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it may just be for a short period, but when you have tenants that are paying for the service, I mean, they're gonna expect a little different.
Now, I'm not an IT expert, but I'm assuming that if we pay for this fiber line to get there and we're paying for the minimum 50 megs, if for some reason we get in if we sell out and we have a bunch of users and we're hitting that bandwidth, we have the ability, it could just increase, right?
Right.
Okay.
It's just.
Kind of like
a ticket.
it's kind of like our printer we can add on later if we need to. Okay. My only thoughts on it, Glenn, is so the 40,000 is like on a very high end. Do you think we can maybe, I don't want to straddle you know and take away your negotiating power, but also, it's kind of, I'd like to get to something that we think is a real price in the negotiation, and that way, because in my mind, $1,100 a month is a lot for internet. Even if it comes down to $725 a month, that's much better than 1,100. So that's just my thought, is maybe instead of 40,000, maybe it's 30,000 that we're trying to negotiate for 3 years, $10,000 a year.
It's gonna be hard for me to know what the, taxes and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so this is just the straight. Yeah, this doesn't add on all their fees.
Correct.
Okay.
That is zero to all of them.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
Definitely more expensive, especially the $1,300 quote. I did not anticipate
no.
an estimate anywhere close to that. We going into it, definitely we saw $500 a month was a kind of the anticipated.
Yeah.
And that is the base rate of Spectrum. It's $4.99 a month.
Is there any way we can just siphon off the city's line?
So
Kind of like, teeing into the cable?
they're I have a problem with that. So any access into a network, provides a security risk.
Yeah.
So that's why my particular office is separated from the rest of the center, because I do have a direct line to the city. This will be a service just for the tenants in the space. That's why they with potential seven tenants operating, I do feel the 50 meg should be sufficient.
Yeah. I mean, is there an option below the 50 meg? It doesn't seem like there is.
There is through Spectrum. There's a 20 by 20.
Yeah.
That with 8 people, I don't recommend it even with the pure fiber. 50 would purely be the lowest that I would recommend on.
Got it. And it's probably only $100 difference or so.
Yes,
Just based on the difference between these.
Yeah.
They're not that big of a difference
Yeah.
on a monthly
They
basis.
make it to where as long as you're getting it, it's like, hey, it's not that much more to get, double it up.
And I gave Glenn the government contacts, because with Texan, you're not charged all the taxes.
Oh,
and all
okay.
the fees that you are on if you just go with a business class.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would say we knock it down to say 900 a month. That'd put us at 32.4. I mean, your high end when they're 750, you said, right? Not counting that's without the management.
Correct.
Which one's a more stable network?
That's hard to know. That's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Subjective.
It depends on where you are, I think, too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've switched in Old Town from Spectrum to AT&T, and I still
So I have
have
got
some issues.
I know cellular's
Yeah.
not the same, but I have it all the time. This one's on Spectrum and this one's on AT&T, and One will be great and one will be terrible. Yeah.
right? And then they flip flop.
And then they'll flip flop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm the same way. I kind of think they do that on purpose, you know,
I feel like that too.
to play off each other all
Mess
the
with
time.
I'm fine with this. I don't know that we need to lower your, the amount down by $5,000 or anything. That I don't think that's going to change the negotiation. I know you're gonna go with what's gonna be best and most cost effective for the center. So I don't feel we need to change the motion necessarily, but it is, I mean, we talked about this in the building meeting, but it's pretty wild.
Well, we can make up cost through the rent, correct?
Correct. In worst case scenario, that's what'll have to happen.
Yeah, and that's what happens, like, with your rent, that's part of, it's built in there that you pay for the utility part of it, so.
So put on your used car uniform and
Yeah.
it's a negotiating.
Good discussion. Yeah, I think we all have faith in you, Glenn, that you will negotiate hard. I know we're gonna be limited in options. Unfortunately, I wish there was more service providers like a Google out in this area, but we are kind of limited in who we've got serving out here. Okay, any other questions? All right, so we have a motion and a second for approval of the director negotiating up to $40,000 for a 3-year term for internet service. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. All right, back to the top. All right, so we'll move on to item number 8, discussion of and action on authorizing the executive director and building evaluation committee to solicit, select, and negotiate contracts for the remodeling of the Helotes Visitor Business Center. All right, as before, I need a motion and second for discussion and action.
I'll motion on item number 8 is written.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All right, Glenn or anybody from the building committee?
Yeah, this one kind of follows along the same lines in an effort to expedite. I would say we're already technically 30 days behind where I would like to be at this point, and that fell on the not necessarily the architect, but the MEP engineer. All of them in the area are backlogged, so we were lucky in a way to get in when we did. So city council granted the EDC authority to spend up to $250,000 for the remodel of the visitor center, but the EDC didn't necessarily grant anyone specific authority on the individual contracts. We did allocate funding for the visitor center. So what I'd like to do, I've already sent this out to multiple contractors, HVAC, electricians, to start soliciting proposals. Giving them right now a deadline of December 1st until I get any pushback. But I would like the authority with myself and the building evaluation committee to have approval to review the bid, select the contractor, negotiate, and execute an agreement. Again, just trying to expedite. We do have the full set of plans for anybody that hasn't seen them, and I think everyone in this room has already reviewed them. There's only been minor potential edits, which we can just redline on a set of plans, a couple extra outlets and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really at this point where we're at, we've got a final set of plans. I think the building committee's been doing a great job of making good suggestions on edits, and we're at the point now we just need to find what the price and timeline is going to be to go forward. So
I have one question. I'm on the building evaluation committee, but I'm wondering through this process, if we agree to this, would this be decided on based on a vote between yourself and the building committee? Is that how we would initially?
I mean, a consensus, yeah.
Consensus, but I mean, I'm just imagining if someone were to disagree with that, how would we handle that situation, right?
I would say if it's divided, right? If we're seriously
That's
cannot
clear.
agree, then it would have to come back to the whole board.
Okay, I just want to be clear on that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
yeah, that's the biggest thing for me too, is on the time side. I like the idea of y'all keeping it in committee, because otherwise every contract is going to have to be, if they get it in late, it's going to be a whole month before it gets heard by the board, where y'all could convene pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So I think time wise, again, I think, everybody knows what they're doing on it. So I think it's the best approach going forward is having the committee and then the director handle all those negotiations. Any other questions on it? Worries?
No, I think we still have a direct hand in it, so
Yeah.
I don't think every little piece needs to come back to the board.
Yeah. Okay, good. No further discussion. So we have a motion and a second for authorizing executive director and building evaluation committee solicit, select, and negotiate contracts for remodeling of the Helotes Visitor and Business Center. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. All right. So that's actually the end of all of our individual consideration items for November. And we'll probably get to here at the end, but I think we may not have a December meeting, which we normally don't because of the holidays. So these may be the last action items we have on for the year. Obviously, if there's something that comes up, Glenn, that needs action beforehand, we could always
Do a special.
do a special meeting. All right, so we'll move on to staff report. So updates on the Old Town Helotes Traffic Circle Arts Project.
So the traffic circle, myself, Blaine and John met with Robert Fight and negotiated reduced fee on his contract. I think came down to kind of value engineered, right? $24,000 without looking at electrical or replacing the individual bricks with the engraved bricks. Figure that's going to be a later project because we have to sell them first. And then we took it to city council. They also gave us approval to move forward, and that was just this last Thursday.
Okay.
So I've executed the agreement and sent that off to Robert, and waiting to get back a timeline. I do not have that yet, but I know he can get that started here pretty quick.
Okay. And I guess to kind of give you all an idea of how we brought down the price, what we decided on doing is we're gonna leave the pavers. So if you think about the way the circle's laid out now, it's a curb, and then there's current pavers there, right? And there's like an inside ring of concrete that's holding those pavers in place. Then there's some river rock, and then there's the big stack stone, and then there's the middle. So we're actually going to leave all those pavers because those pavers are still in very good shape. All the concrete's in good shape. So we're going to leave the pavers and all the concrete that's there in place, and we're going to build inside of that without disturbing that area. Now, Glenn, I know I'd put in a suggestion. Is there any way we could at least get one row of bricks on the outside of that concrete? But did contractor have any?
For Robert, he said it actually would be cheaper for him to. So I'm considering this as two separate projects.
Okay.
Honestly, it'd be cheaper for him to replace the existing bricks
Okay,
once we
gotcha.
have the engraved.
Okay.
Because at that 24,000 for him to go in, set a base and do, the proper underlayment
Yeah.
foundation for new bricks, he said that's going to add, in his mind, substantially. So several thousand.
Where the existing paver that's there already has the sand and has foundation
Right.
for pavers. So we would be looking at a project that would be actually a remove and replace of pavers with the engraved ones.
I think part of where we saved in his initial proposal, the ring was bigger. Because
Right.
he was looking at removing all of the brick pavers that were there to go with, I think, a 15-foot
Right.
inner ring for the structure, and we got it down to 12 foot.
8 inches.
8 inches. And it actually shaved several thousand off by doing that, by reducing it down. So a little bit less on the kind of demolition side of that project.
Does his plan include protection for what's existing there? Just because construction breaks stuff?
Like, I guess, yeah, not disturbing the existing.
The existing bricks, because I know he's responsible for repairing the electrical and any plumbing. Lighting, he's going to keep the fixtures that are there for now. And then once we have the piece, we can see what type of lighting would best fit and exactly where the placement would be. I think that structure needs to be in place.
Yeah. But I think Greg's got a good point. It just needs to be stressed to him that, like, yes, we need to have good documentation of what it looks like today, so that whenever his construction comes through, that if there's now an area that's all warped or something's, going on with those pavers or the concrete, the curb's cracked or whatever it may be, we need to make sure that we have good documentation of what it looks like today.
Absolutely.
What consideration was made to protect the art piece once it's finished from motorists?
So really what it comes down to is going to be that rock facade, the wall around it to begin with. So the rock facade will go from 15 inches tall on what I'll call the short side. And since the circle has a slope down to it to make it level all the way across, it's going to end up being about 30 inches high on the other side. Yeah. So
Wow.
there in the middle, like where traffic's aiming right at it, part of it will be on the lower to middle side. There's what we're still trying to figure out is traffic signage on how to deal with it, whether we can actually put a sign on that wall or we could put a sign coming up to it, saying one way only. But yeah, that's just really, it's going to be the distance and that wall is the protection.
Yeah, and it's a double stacked, cinder block filled with rebar and concrete. And then veneered with stone.
I mean, a car you should stop a car, but I'm thinking a truck would go over it.
Yeah. The truck coming out of floors late at night could definitely go over it. Yeah.
I can think of at least 3 or 4 running around.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is just something we're really gonna have to, I don't know if we even want to maybe look at if taking out some type of insurance on it, at some point, just to protect it.
It will automatically go onto the city's insurance.
Oh,
Through
okay. I
TML.
like that.
Yeah, it becomes an asset of the city.
Okay.
It's in a right of way.
Ask and it shall become.
There you go. Good job. Love it.
Way to do it there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
As long as we built it with the specs that was.
Build it
needed.
within specs. Yeah. And actually I like bringing that wall in a little bit. It gives like just more distance now that if somebody hits that curb, you think they would, start hitting brakes, but again, who knows what state of mind they're going to be in. Okay. Glenn, any updates from the artist herself?
I do not have anything from the artist.
Okay.
Regarding the traffic. No, sir.
But definitely, did the contractor give an idea and timeline whenever he thinks he could start?
Not yet.
Okay.
I expect that probably tomorrow.
Okay. As soon as we quote unquote break ground, I mean, we really need to, it would be nice to have something out there if possible. I'm not asking for the moon because it is just right around the corner, but if there could be something out there by December 9th, for the parade, would be great, but
You might be asking for the impossible. I think the contract, I don't know his start date. He was telling me it shouldn't take over 3 weeks. to do
Yeah.
The project.
yeah, the project itself is short.
What if we even just,
I've
had
got-
Melissa made a small, nice banner or something?
Oh, yeah, you need
Yeah.
to.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Oh, that may have to go to.
Yeah.
No, no.
Just saying it's-
Well,
Well,
we'll just be a temporary sign. Blaine wants it for just
Temporary.
1 night.
Yeah,
just
just
one
one night. Just one night. Then you can throw it away, I promise. Burn it.
You need to
Yes.
with
ma'am.
Public Works because they usually put, they
We
decorate
said the S word.
right there, they use it for Christmas. So,
That's true.
get with them if they're not gonna install one. I'll just tell him that we usually put a Christmas tree
Oh, in the middle.
in the middle.
Oh,
out
yeah.
there and light it, but with this construction and stuff, he needs to get with Public Works. before
Yeah.
they Install a Christmas.
Yeah,
tree.
because I saw him putting on all the Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
Yesterday, so. Yeah, that would be good. Unless we put a sign on the Christmas tree.
Yes.
Make the lights.
The
Just
light
make
say
it flash.
something.
Yeah, make them say something.
We're asking for it. I did want to provide a kind of a commercial development update. I know last night at Planning and Zoning Commission, the Bandera Ranch PUD located at Bandera Road and Scenic Loop got a modification on their site plan. Minor modification, keeping the same number of residential units. They're just changing the configuration. They increased the number of single bedroom units, reduced the number of 2-bedroom, and increased the number of 3-bedroom. And then they added 98 garages.
Instead of having on-street parking.
Yeah,
They saw a definite
Demand.
desire, demand in this
Yeah.
area to have that, which, yeah, ask any of us, I'm sure we would have agreed.
I have to have a garage. I have to have a
Uh,
garage is not for parking my car in.
Very few. That's why cars are on streets or in driveways, right? So that did get approved. Another PUD presented at Planning and Zoning called Trailhead at Helotes. That was for officially White Turkey Creek, but Miffy Morris properties there across Old Town, approximately 28 acres. It was a recommended denial of that PUD, but it does go to City Council December 14th. If anybody wants to be there, I encourage you to attend. Those who have a stake might consider speaking for the reasons why they support this type of development. I think it can go a long way. I would say there was about 8 to 10 residents that came out against it. There was only 2 people that spoke in favor of the project.
This is the one that was presented to us here.
Yes.
Yes.
Previously.
Yeah,
So
made a lot of changes.
yeah, the developer definitely made a lot of concessions. They're going down to 2 stories from 3 stories. They're taking it from 366 units down to 240.
20.
Or 220?
I think it's
Yeah,
220.
you're right, reduction of 46. 220 units, increase the square footage of commercial. So I think he really tried to hit on all the things that he heard back from both P and Z and City Council. So we'll kind of see where that goes December 14th. Council will make the kind of final determination on that. I know there's been kind of a few things in social media about businesses here in Helotes struggling, some recently closing their doors. It's definitely true. They're not seeing an increase in sales. And I know we're kind of been overall stagnant, but we actually just had a training session with HDL. That's our sales tax consultant to kind of go through the numbers. And for us, we have to take into consideration, although the sales tax may not have changed from what we're receiving, the sales tax rate went up in July. So seeing static sales actually means obviously there has been a decline in actual revenue from that location. Hasn't been from what we can tell, even when you take that into consideration, we're probably looking at 15% reduction in revenue. But then you also have those pressures for inflationary cost increases, all the way from wages, supplies, all that kind of stuff. So they're being squeezed from all ends. And then now something that's kind of complicating it from kind of my perspective, a lot of the leases are coming up for renegotiation. And landlords are asking right now $30 to $32 a square foot, where they were 24 to 28 on the high end. So it's further putting a strain. And so a lot of places are having to make that decision, whether or not they can afford to stay in business or if they're going to close. I can say I was asked to kind of look at where Helotes is market-wise on rental rates, and we're high. You can go into Alamo Ranch for the exact same cost. On Lone Star Parkway, you can go on 281. You can get on Stone Oak. You can get in Lock and Terra for the same price you can be in Helotes.
Why do you think that is?
So I could make my opinion and my guess on it. I think we had a new center that was developed here in Helotes that pushed rent rates to kind of a limit, a max that we've never seen in Helotes. And now the other property owners are seeing it and they're trying to see if they can match. You know, nobody's going to leave, right? It's capitalist society. Nobody's going to leave money on the table.
Mhm.
Everybody's going to try to see what they can get.
Mhm.
That's kind of where we are. It's kind of surprising. There's not a lot we can do. I think our tenant improvement grant is still a big incentive now, especially for kind of new businesses coming in to try to help offset. I know it definitely helped Pliables. I can tell you his sales, I won't give you obviously the figures. This Helotes store does almost half of what his other stores do. He's okay with that, still does well. but it's hard to justify a premium when you don't have the
Right,
market
don't have
to
the sales.
sustain it.
Right. Yeah. I'm just trying to think, Glenn, and, you know, yes, there's only so much we can do, right, as the EDC, as far as like helping out the businesses, other than trying to drive more traffic. And that's, I guess, just the thoughts of anybody has ideas out there, we don't have to obviously have them come up tonight, but anybody has ideas of how to drive more sales just in here in Helotes in general. We got the people, just don't know how to get them to stop and shop. That's the $1 million question.
I think things will turn once the construction is done.
Yes.
Even I have friends that they just avoid
They just
Lotus
avoid it.
because they don't want to deal with the traffic.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
One of the,
If you don't have to leave the house, you don't.
Right.
And I'll say it's hard when these owners come into my office and are in tears, begging for help. Unfortunately, I think in many cases, they come too late. They don't actually have the means to stay open. Because I've offered our e-commerce grant and other stuff. They don't have the money to even put out to take advantage of it.
Did you offer them the banner?
Yes, again, the two that have come in, they're struggling to pay rent. The banner's not bringing in the revenue to keep them open.
I wonder sometimes, and I was talking to my wife about this even too, is looking at Helotes and how it's kind of spread out right here over Bandera, is some of these commercial buildings, it seems like their tenant base, when they're doing their planning there, it's not really fully thought out. And my thought process behind that is they've got a bunch of different businesses within these centers that aren't necessarily conducive to each other.
Right.
So you're attracting somebody there for X reason, but there's no reason why they'd go over to Y business or another business, right, in that center, right? Usually you have some
Synergy.
Thank you, the word I'm looking for, synergy within a center, right, where there's people coming and they're using the different businesses within there. I don't feel like we've done a good job of that here in the city, and it's not necessarily on us, but on the building owners themselves to try to encourage more of that planning. I don't know, especially if we have some turnover here.
Yeah.
That could be something that if we're given advice, I don't know if that's true or not, strictly my opinion, but
Definitely think there's a few centers that are in that shape.
Yeah.
They have tenants that definitely don't help.
they don't help, and there's some that do really well and others that shouldn't be there, but because they don't play off each other at all, and they're not doing as well because they really shouldn't be neighbors,
Right.
in that case. And maybe it's because we don't have enough space. I don't know if that's the reason, or affordable space might be the word that we're using now.
We definitely go with that.
So people go in where the only availability is, which may not be the best spot for them, but and then it ends up not working out. But they're, just thinking even like the Title Max area over there, like people come back over there, there's always availability, but there's a lot of turnover there. But it's because it's not a great synergistic center, in my opinion.
Yeah, and currently for the existing strip centers, all the old centers, we have 9. There was a number thrown out last night that we had 23 vacant spaces in Helotes. I don't know where 23 are.
I think he was counting from up to 1604. He didn't realize the
There you go.
actual
City limit line.
city limit line.
Because
That was the only thing I could figure that he
I
was.
counted 9 vacant spaces, and then we have 7 to 10 in the new center that is ready for tenants.
Which I guess is technically vacant, but
It is.
Yeah.
The new center is treated.
that could be, I mean, there's a lot of that in there could just be one big thing.
Right.
one of the things that I was thinking of after the meeting last night, the first thing I'll say, I was at the planning and zoning meeting last night. I encourage everyone here to formulate their own opinion and voice it. There are a lot of people who are sharing their thoughts on the trailhead project, and one way or the other, I think we got to share with our council folks. And I hope that council folks are paying attention to us here this evening, and I think they need to also be open to talking to the citizens too, and kind of garnering that conversation, because I think right now the opposition is being very loud, and maybe that's because that's the majority. But
Well, it's all come from my neighborhood.
yeah,
Helotes Park Estates showed up. They showed up.
Yep,
They really did. The word got out there that this was happening. So
right. And I agree with that, but I think that everybody should, especially we here with the EDC, because if that is approved, we'll play a big part in that. And shaping those centers and attracting, businesses that we want here. Do we need to give you permission to talk there at city council?
If you want a statement coming from the EDC, yes, sir.
Then I think that there should be something from the EDC that is said. I don't know how
can we all be on some kind of a group conversation for that outside of a meeting?
as long as it's less than 3.
Yeah, no, right. You could all obviously attend city council and speak on your own. We can't meet as a group outside of a public setting.
But we could individually come to your office and discuss things with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, are you thinking more of where we come and individually have our own statements that then get put into one document?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's
A condensed of everybody's thoughts.
from the.
Because I think we're all gonna have very similar thoughts overall. I don't know that, but
Right.
But normally, like I don't know if we've ever taken a formal stand on anything since I've been here, but with other groups I've been involved with like this, like to have a formal stand, it's something that we vote on. It's an action item, right? That says, all right, we're gonna put in
Support this or
support it or not support it or put in a letter for it. So I don't think we can officially do that without it being an action item here tonight. I don't think we can officially do that before the meeting without it being an action item on next ones. Now,
which is already gone.
it is highly likely that, well, not highly likely, there is a possibility that once it goes to council that it may get continued or it may get tabled or it may get denied with, hey, come back again, so I don't think the chance is lost. I think it may be there in the future, but I don't think
residents, you have the freedom to speak to council.
But yes,
Individually.
definitely yes, individually. I think if you feel strongly about it,
Well, I think that, for future reference, whenever we see something like this, we should all be on the same page.
yeah,
At least to a degree on where we're going to all be as a majority.
You should at least have a collective statement.
yes,
I think that would be very, very helpful for council, especially in any public hearing that affects our business, any zoning, anything like that. I think that would be hearing from the EDC what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What direction and what y'all see for the city in the business and economic development.
And I will say there was some interesting, and I mean that in a positive way, thoughts shared last night on opposition. People saying we didn't need it. P&Z board members saying we didn't need it because we had a number of apartment complexes already, that we needed more commercial space, and that whole area should be focused more on commercial, larger commercial.
Contradictory.
In some ways it was. There was one interesting statement, and one of the members of P&Z was in favor of the project, talking about how that's something that Helotes needs, is to be able to have a little bit higher population density within the city of Helotes, to have people who can live and work here, and to be able to offer the correct amount of commercial, because I'm going to extrapolate from what they said and thinking about it on my own later. It's hard for us to solely stay and shop in Helotes for what we need, because if Walmart doesn't have it, we're going to San Antonio,
right.
One more shots.
Right. And pretty much, by and large. So, for retail, especially for fine dining, especially. So outside of QSRs and specialty shops, we're limited.
Yeah.
And there, we have plenty of restaurants here, but not, like you said, fine dining.
Correct.
We got chicken, but and then we have fast food.
Right.
But how many true sit down upper scale restaurants do we have?
Correct.
There's,
That's a reason to come here.
right.
Right.
Is we need
Correct.
those type of
I think
restaurants.
we need some diversity. And again, I'm paraphrasing on what that board member said last night, but I think we need some diversity here and some support.
And right now we have limited opportunities of where that can go. And
Correct.
so this would be And it's just like anything else, when it comes to commercial development, is they want to know, hey, so the demographics of Helotes is great, right? When you look at the median income, everything, is off the charts great. And everybody's like, oh man, ton of money there. But the population density is not that high. And so you need the people, you need the rooftops to make the commercial businesses be interested in going there. So interested. I know we got a QT up and running, right? So it's
Absolutely.
I'm interested to see what their numbers are going to look like. Hopefully they knock it out of the park.
They seem to be busy every time I've been by or gone in.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just excitement of a new thing here or
Yeah.
if that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah. Hopefully that just gets things really, really going out in that territory. Cause a lot of Helotes, we survive off of either what's here or maybe somebody coming in, right? But we already have people coming in from out in. There's just not that many. And it's so easy to get out of Helotes. Like for me in Iron Horse, I could just get on 1560 and I can get up to Alamo Ranch area very quickly, if I needed to get to
Everything you need is over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's a hub.
it's easy to get out of here. So we really need to figure out how to, and I think we're coming up on the time for our next workshop anyway. So these are all good conversations, but
Yeah.
how do we drill down and get that synergy going and get to where these shops where people are going and stopping and shopping and not just in and out, we got to figure out how to help mold some of that. But right now we don't have any new space to do it. And so I agree that we need to have consolidated voice in something.
And we need
this.
I think we need more variety.
Yeah.
I mean, I eat or try to frequent restaurants in Helotes all I can, but honestly, I get tired of them.
Yeah.
And I'll eat at one place for a bunch and then I get tired of it. And then we move on to someplace else and then we get tired of it. It's kind of like a circle when we go around.
Yeah.
But, if you eat 3 or 4 or 5 meals, I mean, I know with our family, the schedule, we're always so busy that we eat out a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And you can tell by looking at me that, I like to eat. So. But it's just, we try to eat in the city while we can.
Yeah. So all good stuff. Any other updates? Anything new on Bitters Track? So quiet.
They're in discuss. They're meeting. Patrick Bitter is meeting with the developer. They still don't have anything ironed out. Hopeful that there's been a dialogue. No, they were trying to get all the family members in agreement. So that's going to be potentially the challenge. Somewhere in a range of 9 to 13 brothers and sisters. So, but at least they've identified someone in the family to take lead on it. It has changed 3 times, I will say, in the last year. So it's now Patrick Bitter that's taking lead.
Well, good. All good updates. 2024 will be here. So are we going to decide now? No meeting in December? Correct.
At the regular meeting, I would say yes.
Yeah. Everybody okay with that? All right.
So
So
I'm gonna miss y'all.
so I guess it's pretty happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. But yeah, Glenn, if there is something that comes up, especially on the building that, because it is going to be time sensitive, that if you need to call special, you got our email addresses.
Yes, sir.
All right. So with that, that is the end of all the staff updates. So we are adjourned. It is now 7:55.